So today we are going to discuss another type of receptor that are known as adrenergic receptors or adrenergic type of transmission. Now this transmission involves mainly norepinephrine as the neurotransmitter. As you know, this is a synapse. On a synapse between a neuron and a between the presynaptic and postsynaptic neuron there is this synaptic cleft, and in this synaptic cleft, as I told you, there could be two type of the neurotransmitters. One are acetylcholine, and that type of transmission is known as cholinergic transmission, and other transmission which involves norepinephrine, that type of transmission is known as norepinephrine transmission or adrenergic type of transmission. Now this transmission takes place only in postganglionic sympathetic nerve terminals. This has to be remembered in postganglionic sympathetic nerve terminals, except for the sweat glands. Now they are saying that there can be three types of them. Now the ones that mainly involve norepinephrine, they are sympathetic postganglionic nerve terminals. But for dopaminergic neurons, they have dopamine being released in them, whereas in adrenal medulla, they have epinephrine being released in them. Now, all of these things, dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine, they are all being made from one process. Their synthesis is from one process. That is why they are discussed simultaneously. So now let's discuss the process of synthesis over there. So now this is the diagram that we will be consulting to discuss the synthesis of norepinephrine, the dopamine, and the epinephrine. Now they tell you that this is the presynaptic neuron. Now, in this presynaptic neuron, the tyrosine molecule, the main molecule to be required, has to enter the neuron by the means of this symporter, that is a sodium dependent symporter. This symporter transmits both sodium and tyrosine to the interior of the neuron. As soon as it is pulled to the interior, as soon as it comes to the interior, the tyrosine is now converted by this enzyme tyrosine hydroxylase into this compound DOPA. Now, DOPA gets converted into dopamine. Now, this dopamine is now pulled or pushed to the interior of the vesicle by means of this vesicle associated monoamine transporter, VMAT. This puts the dopamine inside and pushes the hydrogen outside. This one that was pulling it inside, that was a symporter, whereas the one that packs it into the vesicle, it is an antiporter. It transmits dopamine inside, hydrogen ion outside. Now the dopamine, then it is converted into norepinephrine where it is required, like in the sympathetic postganglionic ones. So what happens mainly over here till now is the ones that are dopaminergic, their synthesis stops till here, and the dopamine is released directly from the nerve terminal. The ones that have to release norepinephrine, that are mostly sympathetic postganglionic nerve terminals, they convert this dopamine into norepinephrine. Let's see the reaction over here. So the dopamine is converted into norepinephrine, and this mainly takes place in adrenergic type of transmission, mainly involving postganglionic nerve terminals, postganglionic sympathetic nerve terminals. Now dopamine is converted norepinephrine by dopamine beta hydroxylase enzyme. And in adrenal medulla, what actually takes place, that in adrenal medulla this norepinephrine is converted into epinephrine, because this phenyl ethanol and methyl transferase enzyme, it is present in adrenal medulla only. And also it requires glucocorticoids, and these glucocorticoids, they are received from adrenal cortex into the adrenal medulla, and they facilitate the conversion of norepinephrine into epinephrine. That is why this substance or this reaction of norepinephrine to epinephrine is only present in adrenal medulla. Understood? Now what happens is that there are two types of release of the norepinephrine from the presynaptic neuron into the postsynaptic type of into the synaptic cleft. One is calcium dependent. Similarly to the cholinergic transmission, an action potential comes. That action potential triggers these calcium channels. These calcium channels allow the entry of the calcium. The calcium comes and attaches to this VAM proteins. These VAM proteins, now they open a pore, that pore allows certain molecules to come in. The molecules, they then remove the association between norepinephrine and the proteoglycans of the vesicle, and hence norepinephrine is ready to be released. Sometimes they say that apart from norepinephrine, the dopamine beta hydroxylase, this enzyme is also released, as well as certain peptide cations or peptide co-transmitters are also released in this process. So mainly you can say that norepinephrine is released. Now this norepinephrine that is being released, it is by the means of a calcium dependent process. This norepinephrine can now attach onto the receptors, postsynaptic receptors or presynaptic receptors. If I show you, so this has three fates. It can either attach to the receptors that are present in the presynaptic membrane or the postsynaptic membrane. It can either get metabolized or it can be reuptaken. Metabolism is by the means of two enzymes, MAO and COMT. We will discuss them in a bit. And reuptake is by the norepinephrine transporter. Now we have this norepinephrine transporter. This norepinephrine transporter converts this norepinephrine back into the presynaptic membrane. So we discussed three fates. One was attachment to the receptor, second one was diffusion and metabolism, and third one was reuptake by norepinephrine transporter. Now we will discuss the calcium independent release of norepinephrine into the synaptic cleft. Now I have a diagram made. This whole thing was written in big Katzen, but there was no diagram for it. So let's discuss the diagram. So what happens mainly in this norepinephrine release that is calcium independent, that you have this norepinephrine transporter. It transports some substances or certain indirectly acting mixed action sympathomimetics. These are three of them. You can remember them by the mnemonic 8. A is for amphetamine, T is for tyramine, E is for ephedrine. Three of them, they are converted or they are transported to the interior by the means of this norepinephrine transporter. And now they are pushed into the vesicle by the means of this vesicle associated monoamine transporter. As soon as these three substances, the 8 ones, they go into the vesicle, they push the norepinephrine out of the vesicle. So the 8, they move into the vesicle, but they push norepinephrine out of the vesicle, and now this norepinephrine moves out into the synaptic cleft, not by exocytosis but by the means of this norepinephrine transporter. So this is a calcium independent process, and also it does not involve exocytosis. So it does not depend on calcium, it does not depend upon exocytosis. Rather, the 8-3 indirectly acting mixed action sympathomimetics with the mnemonic 8 are involved in them. Their names are amphetamine, tyramine, and ephedrine. Now they are poor agonists. It means that they cannot attach to the receptor or they can inactivate the receptor. That is why they are uptaken by this norepinephrine transporter in the presynaptic membrane. Second thing about amphetamine is that it inhibits the monoamine oxidase enzyme that we will be discussing in metabolism in a bit. And whenever it is going to inhibit the enzyme, as you know, this enzyme is involved in metabolism of norepinephrine. So when this enzyme is inhibited, so what will happen? Norepinephrine will stay in this synaptic cleft. It will not be metabolized, and it will increase the activity of norepinephrine in the synapse. So this was the whole calcium independent process and not involving exocytosis, whereas the other process, that was calcium dependent process that believed on the coming of action potential, but the fates are very much same. The fates are either receptor attachment on the pre or postsynaptic receptor, and the receptor, they are specifically named adrenoreceptors. And then we are going to discuss the second fate, that is metabolism, and third fate, as you know, was reuptake. So let's go to second fate, that is metabolism. If we come to this diagram, we are very much familiar with metabolism. So epinephrine and norepinephrine, They are, as I told you, they can be acted upon by Mao or by COMT, but you have to remember that both the enzymes will be involved in this reaction. So what happens if they are acted upon by Mao enzyme first? They are converted into this dehydroxymandelic acid, and after that the COMT enzyme comes to them and converts them into vinyl mandelic acid. So Mao converts them, both of them, into dehydroxymandelic acid, and COMT converts them into the vinyl mandelic acid. But if they are firstly acted upon by COMT, they will be converted into, epinephrine will be converted into metanephrine, and norepinephrine will be converted into normetanephrine. But the final compound, now they are acted upon by Mao, and the final compound is same, that is vinyl mandelic acid. If we go to dopamine has two things. Similarly, Mao and COMT can act on it. Firstly, Mao will act, and then COMT will, or firstly COMT can act and then Mao will. If the Mao enzyme, that is monoamine oxidase, it is acted upon firstly, it will produce the dihydroxyphenyl acetic acid. And then COMT comes in it and it converts into homovinylic acid, or HVA. So dihydroxyphenyl acetic acid, or you can remember as DPA, dihydroxyphenyl acetic acid. But if the COMT one comes, it converts into methoxytyramine, and then methoxytyramine is acted upon by the Mao one, and homovinylic acid is produced. So this was the whole mechanism. But you need to know that Mao and COMT enzymes are involved in them, and the final product for dopamine is homovinylic acid, and the final products of epinephrine and norepinephrine, they are vinyl mandelic acids. So this was the whole metabolism process involved. And now we discussed that there was this enzyme that was Mao inhibitor, that was this amphetamine. So whenever this Mao inhibitor will be present, it will not allow the monoamine oxidase to act upon them, and hence it will enhance the activity of norepinephrine in the synaptic cleft or in the synapse. Now we have one thing, that this vinyl mandelic acid, the metanephrine, normetanephrine, that are the type of monoamine substances. They are, if they are present in urine for 24 hours, that is a 24-hour urine sampling test, it is a gold standard test for the detection of pheochromocytoma. That is a type of tumor of the adrenal medulla. So vinyl mandelic acid, metanephrine and normetanephrine, which are metabolic products of the norepinephrine, they can be gold standard test for the detection of tumor of the adrenal medulla, which is also known as pheochromocytoma. Now, up till now, we are very much done with the synthesis, the storage, the termination and everything. Now we have to discuss certain drugs that are associated with blocking certain processes. So drugs, the first drug that is going to inhibit this tyrosine hydroxylase enzyme, because it is tyrosine, the name is metyrosine. Simple as that. The name is similar to tyrosine, that is metyrosine. So metyrosine will block this tyrosine hydroxylase enzyme. Similarly, there will be certain drug that is going to block the entry of dopamine into the vesicle. That drug is reserpine. You see, you remember the name reserve. So it is going to reserve the dopamine. So hence its name is reserpine. It will not allow the dopamine to be converted into norepinephrine. Rather, it will conserve the dopamine. That will be reserpine. So metyrosine is the one involving tyrosine hydroxylase, blocking tyrosine hydroxylase. Second one, the one producing a reserve or not allowing the packaging into vesicle, that is reserpine, reserve one. Then there is one that is going to prevent this exocytosis, that is beryllium and guanethidine. Beryllium and guanethidine. You can remember them from a mnemonic beg. Now, what is this mnemonic beg? When you do not have something, you have to beg for it, right? So what happens is that the synapse is now begging for norepinephrine, because the norepinephrine is not being released. And why it is begging? Because the beg type of drugs, they stopped its exocytosis. So this is simple. So you can remember it. Why will it beg? Because it has been blocked by beg. So B is for beryllium, E for epinephrine or norepinephrine, and G for guanethidine. So three type of things. We from the tyrosine we have metyrosine. From this vesicle or from making a reserve we have reserpine. From because of lack of the norepinephrine in the synapse we will have to beg for it. So the beg enzyme is BEG, that is beryllium, epinephrine or norepinephrine, and G is for guanethidine. Now there is this type of a reuptake that was taking place, and I told you reuptake is done by norepinephrine transporter. Now there are certain drugs which can block this, and these drugs are cocaine and tricyclic antidepressant. Now what are these drugs going to do? You can remember them by function. Whenever you take cocaine, your activity increases. Why does this activity increase? Because your norepinephrine is now present in the synapse in more amount, and this more amount will activate the adrenoreceptor in more number. So if this drug is blocking the reuptake, it is increasing the amount in the synapse, and it produces you can say more of like mood elevation and increased activity, and cocaine and tricyclic antidepressant are known for that. So three things, four drugs we have remembered. Metyrosine block the tyrosine hydroxylase, reserpine produces a reserve or blocks this vesicle vmat one, blocks the vesicle formation. The third one was because norepinephrine is now not in the synapse, we have to beg for it. So the one that is blocking the exocytosis, they are beg, that are beryllium, the guanethidine. And the ones that are going to increase the activity, block the reuptake, they are cocaine and tricyclic antidepressant. I hope you understood each and everything that was explained via these type of diagram and the whole different types of drugs that are involved in it. That was all about the adrenergic type of neurotransmission, and adrenergic only takes place in postganglionic sympathetic nerve endings. You should remember this. So that was all from my side. If you remember the things, if you learned something new, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. We will meet in the next video, inshallah, where we will discuss something new, something better, inshallah.